Ready?
It's still saying redirecting to YouTube. It is on now.
Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. This is Essence of Medicine. Today, we're going to be talking about stress. I'm Amanda Armagost.
Dominic Moore.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence. What an interesting subject. How did you guys came up with?
Just actually, it's a little bit of like personal stuff that's been going on. I was talking to Alyssa. She's with patients now, but I was talking to Alyssa about how interesting it is that the body responds so differently to stress. The amount of stress, maybe even who is stressing you out, because I know, like, for instance,
nice stress you out. Your
Yeah,
response is up to the roof.
that's exactly what we were talking about. How when you stress people out, it's a higher response because it has more weight. Like if you stress me out versus Dominic stressing me, it's
stressing you out. You're in trouble.
Like if Dominic stresses me out, it's more of like an irritant for me because it's my relation. No, it's my relationship with Dominic that I'm worried about, where like I'm stressed because I'm worried about my relationship with Dominic. Whereas when you stress me out,
be careful what you say now.
when you stress me out, I'm worried about my livelihood, like my job.
What?
She's worried for her life.
Livelihood.
So we were just talking about how it's so different. Like if maybe someone was stressed out from you, they were getting scared and they maybe even got a little bit dizzy or lightheaded. That's a normal stress response.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's also the interest of like, we have stress for a reason. It had to be beneficial in some way. And then you think of the whole thing of if you're stressed a little bit when you're doing something, you'll learn it better. That's just encourages your body to memorize this. It says, okay, this is important. Apparently it freaks us out a little bit.
Yep.
Let's try and remember how to deal with this sort of thing. But then you have that diminishing return of if you get too stressed, forget it. Never remember this moment. This is awful. Don't touch this.
So that is even physiologic. Even that is physiologic.
Yeah.
Now, let's start about life, because I don't believe any stone or piece of metal, anything that's not alive, I don't believe they get really stressed. We use the word stress this and that and so on, but stress in the sense we are going to talk about is part of life. Not part of human life, part of life, period, right?
Yeah, I think about that a lot. Honestly, like the other day I was driving to work and there was a squirrel that like ran across the road and there was a wall there, a really high stone wall, and it was a baby squirrel. So the squirrel was like jumping, trying to climb up the wall. My stress level went up because I felt so bad for the squirrel. It's hard, like it was so stressful. Probably gonna have a
how
heart
do you feel
attack.
the squirrel was feeling?
That's exactly why I felt bad. That's why my stress went up. I was stressed for the squirrel, how the squirrel feels.
Yeah. Well, you're an empath. Now, what would be a podcast of Essence without me bringing some obscure old information? Now, you guys all know Plato, right? Plato, the old philosopher.
Yeah.
Plato.
Yeah, Plato. Yeah. Okay, Plato. Thank you.
Plato's Closet.
Well, just so everyone knows.
Yeah. He wrote a very interesting book. The name of the book is The Last Day of Socrates. It is said that in that book, he used what we call today Churchillian slip. Well, let's go a little back. Okay, let's make it even more obscure. It's me. I have to. Okay? So it is said that Churchill was in a party and a woman told to Churchill that Winston or Mr. Churchill, if you were my husband, I would poison you. And Churchill said, lady, if you were my wife, I would drink that poison freely.
I get it.
So when they looked back, that was never said by Churchill.
Oh.
It was said, God knows by whom, but by referring that to Churchill, you give it gravity. You make it more important. Hence, I cannot say the right name of Plato, but I know what the Churchillian slip is by associating what you want to say to somebody else, so who is important, then it has more value, had this higher penetration to the mind of people. Now, it is said most of the things that in that book, The Last Day of Socrates, that Plato says it is said by Socrates, is actually said by Plato, and he's just attributing to. So about 2,000 years later, Churchillian slip is a word that is coined in honor of the last day of Socrates, where Plato says things but attributed to Socrates because Socrates was way more important than Plato. Okay?
Okay.
So, but according to Plato in the last book of Socrates, Socrates said, when you describe a word, don't be obscure. Describe the situation where the word applies. Like if you say brave, what is the meaning of brave? Let's just talk. We need to talk about that because it has a meaning for our stress conversation, okay? When you say use the word brave, Dominic, what is the word brave? What does that mean?
Recognizing you're afraid of something, but doing it anyway. So situation would be I'm World War I guy in the trenches somewhere in France, and I know I'm going to die if I go up there, but I'm going to do it anyways. So
I love how you describe that. This is exactly, have you read the book, the Last Day of Socrates? Because you just recited that. Again, what he said, that other people try to describe it and make it even worse. That the description is even more obscure and confusing than the word. Describe a situation where the word applies. And he uses exactly the same thing, that in heat of a battle, only a fool run toward death. Except that person knows he's running toward death, but he has values that are more important than his life. He's not afraid. Only a fool would not be afraid of death. So I'm surprised that you actually, maybe some of my genes are in you.
Yes,
I mean, hey, it's all got to come from somewhere. What's on top of the head and what's in it, right?
so true.
Where was your mother 25 years ago?
She was where were you again? California?
Yeah.
She was in California going to med school, right?
Okay, well, he just described what it was describing that thing. Now let's talk about stress. With the Socratian way, let's try to describe what the stress is, and then we go back to biology. We say what it is, what it means, where is it applied correctly, where is it applied wrongly, and so on and so forth. So, Amanda, why don't you start? What's stress?
Well, stress to me is an uncomfortable feeling that I get because of something else, but I don't really know how to put it. Like, I want to say it's a physiological reaction, but I know that makes it more complicated.
Yeah, well, you said it the natural way, correct way, but that's exactly what Plato was referring to, or according to him, Socrates was referring to. If you continue that conversation, it becomes circular, meaning that stress is what makes you feel uncomfortable, and when you're uncomfortable, you're stressed, and so on and so forth. So it becomes a circular thing. Now try the Socratian way to describe stress. Go.
That was actually me trying.
No, I'm talking to Dominic now.
Okay. I would be very stressed if I was in a state that I shall not mention previously, and I was driving on the highway and I noticed the guy in front of me has both feet out the the driver's side window and is swerving all around in every lane. That would make me very stressed.
Was it driver that doing that?
Yes, driver.
Oh, a driver driving on the highway, having both feet up and swirling in the highway.
Yes.
You see, you described a situation where truly the word stress could apply. Now, did he look stressed?
No, he looked very relaxed, actually.
He's chilling
Okay.
with his feet out.
Yeah.
So we can all agree he's a fool, right?
Yeah, please.
Is
Please.
the situation that is at the danger of his life,
Mhm.
but doesn't recognize the situation. He's neither stressed nor brave, according to what we just described.
Mhm.
Why were you stressed? You weren't driving that car. Why were you stressed?
I recognize that his foolishness put myself and my fiance at danger because if he does anything in front of us, well, I have to deal with it.
Okay. Amanda, why were you stressed when you were seeing the squirrel jump up?
I was stressed because I felt bad for the squirrel because I was thinking like, how does this squirrel feel? Its heart's probably racing. It wants to get up over this thing. It's scared because my car is coming. So that's why I felt stressed because I was feeling how does the squirrel feel?
Less stress because the squirrel might cause you a damage or an
Oh
accident.
no, I didn't think the squirrel was going to cause me any damage.
So see, you two of you now describe the two situations that stress truly applies. You're in a situation that may cause harm to you, or you're in a situation that you have empathy with another living being, usually people, that the situation is as such that you know that it may cause harm to that individual. Okay. Now, what we remember, we just had this podcast before. When you see something outside, you make a mental model of it. You remember? You close your eyes and you walk across the room.
Yeah.
Amanda, I admire you. You just made a mental picture. You being that squirrel, and a giant car is coming. You're jumping up, and you're not reaching that. You made a mental model of that. You ran it to your simulation and said, "Oh my God, this must be stressful." Not this is good. This is empathy and so on. Now, stress has a physiologic reaction, that applies to both situations. And in the lower life, a single cell can be stressed. How do you stress a cell? And how does a stress cell react, Dominic? How does a stressed single cell react?
Okay, let's go with I'm an amoeba and I am stressed because I do not have food in the nearby area, or let's go with food. Food's easiest. All life understands food.
Yeah, food is easiest, but it takes a lot to create a stress reaction to food because it does create the stress response. But what is beside food? I mean, are you stressed today because you haven't had food?
Yeah, I am right now, to be honest.
You always break my train of thoughts, Amanda. Now, how would you be more stressed? If there's a fire in that room or if there is no food in that room right now, Amanda? What would stress you out
the
more?
fire. I mean, I'm not stressed out enough to eat, so the fire.
You see that there? That's why I'm saying food is a special situation. But
Or
immediate danger. Most of the time, food is not an immediate danger. But obviously, we will talk about chronic stress that can be caused by lack of nutrition and so on and so forth. But so single cell, how would you stress out a single cell?
So let's take this amoeba again and introduce like a water bear, one of their natural little predators, the tiny multi-cell organism. It's coming over to eat it. It can sense it through whatever cytotoxins it's using to.
Okay, so how does the cell know that the water bear is there? By the way, do you want to describe to Amanda what a water bear is?
They're kind of creepy looking, but so an amoeba, got the little guy, single cell organism, kind of looking like a little blob. Water bear is this other larger organism that's also kind of gross, blobby looking.
I've seen those.
You might have.
Inside.
What is the other name? What's the other name for water bear?
Oh, I can't remember. I was totally trying to say it earlier. I can't remember.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yes. it's
How's it
just
great?
Gross.
creepy as heck, but
Take it off now.
I know. Oh gosh. It's nightmare stuff. It's
I actually
nightmares.
can't look at that.
No, actually, they're cute. They're the cutest thing on the
They're
planet.
cute. The drawings are cute. The real ones.
Imagine how stressed you would be if that thing was coming to
I'm
eat you.
stressed and it's not. So do the cells like can they communicate with each other to say there's this thing coming to eat you? Just so you know,
So,
like
okay, well, that is the point I'm trying to make.
Hmm.
Okay, we are going a lot outside of what we want to talk about, but it's a chemical. A chemical, they like the cell doesn't know what's going on. Part of the tardigrade goes through the amoeba. Amoeba says, "Oh, what's that molecule? I don't know that,"
Hmm.
and it has an internal mechanism that says, "Oh, this maybe something dangerous, but easier." You can put the amoeba in a solution with too much salt or too little salt, too much potassium or little potassium, and it gets stressed.
Hmm.
Easier than that, you just put that, take the amoeba from the pond, put it in a potassium-rich solution. What happens? It's a chemical reaction. It changes the receptors and the pores on the amoeba. All of a sudden, amoeba start bloating
Hmm.
or shrinking because certain receptors, certain pores, they work more or less, and it starts a chain reaction that is not good and healthy for the amoeba, right?
Hmm.
So what does amoeba do? Try to get away from it.
Yeah, run.
Run. Well,
Well, yeah, run.
can you simulate how amoeba would run, Dominic?
Yeah, so you're my cilia as I
Not all amoeba have cilia. Do they all have cilia?
no, just I mean some of them
Yeah.
do, but
It's
the
the,
one in this
I would say they do this motion.
yeah, they kind of glob away.
The blob just blobs away. Okay.
Amoeba are cute. Can we say that? Well, I think that
Let's
needs to
put
be on
them
the
up. Put them up. Let me see what they look like.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
record.
That amoeba, we just use a word for so many different life forms.
Hmm. But they're a little blob.
Okay.
Like typical blob.
Like I'm picturing a red blood cell.
No.
Imagine less uniform.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You pull it
Nope.
up.
Here.
Yeah, not at
Why
all.
does that child appear when I look for amoeba? What is going on?
Hey, whatever names we have nowadays, I don't know. But see, like it's just a blob. It's
I
like
get it.
just
Yeah,
blah.
literally a blob.
It looks like somebody just threw paint on a canvas and
Mhm.
called it a day.
Should I tell you a secret?
Hmm.
When I was young, like in the middle and high school, I was just didn't care about how I look like. Other people would put the best look and so on, and I would just appear there. Not even someday, my principal had to stop me in the floor, go back, bring a comb, and comb my hair because that is how I look like, and I didn't care. And my name used to be I used to be called the friendly amoeba. Abbasi, the friendly amoeba.
Cute. Some things never change.
Yeah. Well, there's only so many things you can care about in life, right?
Mhm,
Very true.
yeah.
That's very
My
true.
look wasn't what so I used to be called Abbasi, the friendly amoeba.
Cute.
So it tried to get away from that.
Hmm.
So but what does an amoeba need to do, a microbe needs to do to get away from the source of harm?
Evacuate.
Yes, evacuate. Like call the Federal Emergency Response 911, send them.
What does it do?
Well, first I need to know that if somebody-
It has to start series of actions, right?
Hmm.
It has to start a cascade of behavior to get away from the source of danger or if it cannot, fight it. So hence the word what? Fight or
Fight or
flight.
Fight or
flight.
flight. Mm.
Yeah. So with all of that, and how often do you think in the nature happens that the microbe is stressed and has to do that?
Often,
Like, for God's sake, it's just like
all the time.
3 trillion time in a gallon of water every single.
Mhm. It's constant.
This is what life is: eat or be eaten.
Mhm.
Except you have chloroform and you make your own energy. It's eat or be eaten.
Mhm.
And that's the life. So stress or the reaction to a stressor or a source of damage, which we call that induces fight and flight, is a natural process, and we call it stress. You stress, you can stress an amoeba with a more or less salt or a toxin or something. And then let's move it now. And if you look at that reaction exists in anything that is alive except viruses, because we are not sure if viruses are alive or not. Anything beside viruses, they have this fight or flight reaction. Most of the time is which one is more common, fight or flight?
Flight.
Flight is
Mhm.
definitely
For
like
sure.
99% of the time is going away from that. But if you're cornered, a little mouse will attack you.
Mhm.
So, and let's have this understanding what stress is. Stress is reaction to a possibly harmful, I'm just going to call it situation.
Yeah.
That encompasses external, internal, and so on and so forth. And I hope that just what we discussed so far justifies for you that, if you don't have stress reaction, you will not survive. You won't be alive. If you don't get away from that, stress is all the step that you have to activate to get away from the possible source of harm. So what did you do when you were stressed on the highway?
Well, there's two options. There's the horn to notify him that he should be stressed by his activity, because clearly he was not initiating anything to that. But then I chose option B because I didn't want
Flight.
Yes, I moved. I
Yeah.
got away.
So you didn't engage, you didn't fight, you flight.
Yes. No fight, because you know what? Why? Fight is just more danger.
Way
Okay,
more.
Amanda, what did you do? How did you get away from that stressful situation? You just drove by.
I was the stressor.
No, you removed yourself. You
I slowed down, but I kept driving.
yeah, you slowed down so that the poor squirrel have more experience of that.
Well, no, just in case he decided to run the other way, I didn't want to run the
Okay,
squirrel.
let's talk about that. Imagine the squirrel is in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
The only way you can avoid it is to swirl away. Would you do that?
I don't want to answer this publicly because I know the answer is supposed to be no. You're not supposed to swerve. I would slow down. I'm not going to swerve because it's it's only one lane. You can't really swerve anywhere, or maybe you're going to get hit by oncoming traffic. So this does happen to me often in my neighborhood. There are a lot of squirrels. I always just slow down.
Okay, so the right answer to that is do not change your trajectory, because then you are going to cause more damage.
Yeah, but this is like a 30-mile-per-hour road, so no one should be driving so fast that they don't see me slowing down.
Okay, well, the right answer to that is do not let a squirrel cause more damage. Get into the fight. If the alternative to flight is the fight, and if the flight is not possible, it has more harmful consequences, then you get into a fight. In the nature is the way. The mouse runs away until it's in a corner, has nowhere else to go. then the mouse will fight you.
Mm.
Okay, might not win, but what else is there to do? The
Yeah.
alternatives is just there's no other alternatives. So let's act, but internally, both situations requires the same resources.
Mhm.
Internally, they're not much different, even though externally they look a lot different. Like what I wanted to get at, probably Dominic, you just went to a different lane and sped up.
Mhm. Oh yeah, I wasn't gonna
Fast.
slow down. I was like, get me away from this man as fast as humanly possible.
And I was hoping you tell me, you always break my train of thought, Amanda, that I was thinking that, you sped up so that the squirrel is not as stressed and you pass him, so it's not, the squirrel is, either way, you use the same resources,
Mhm.
okay? Internally, now let's move all the way from bacteria and amoeba to mammals and human. What resources do you need in a stressful situation for either scenarios? Flight or fight? What resources do we need? This is essence of medicine, right? So that's why I'm being so technical about it, because this is not a podcast about the psychology of stress. That is a different thing. We are going to be very technical, talk about the medicine, the physiology of stress, and why is it necessary?
Do you mean internal or external resources? Like external resources, you might need, depending on the stressor, like you might need shelter, you might need someone else who can support you, you might need financial things.
Yeah, but anything external, you can only utilize after you have your internal resources
Mhm.
focused on that problem, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about physiology. I'm talking about inside of you.
Yeah. You need like the mental faculties to recognize, is this a situation for flight? Like, am I stressed by this?
First, you have to decide, perfect. First, you have to decide flight or fight.
Mm.
Okay? And that you have to reevaluate again and again. What do you need for that? Focus,
Mm.
brain, gray matter. Okay? Now, either way, a fight or flight might be coming. What else do you need there? What else do you need? I'm talking
Like
about acute stress now, okay?
stress
Not,
hormones, like
what do you-
cortisol.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, stress hormone, cortisol, and so on. But yes, but you need energy, right?
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
Let's follow it. Let's follow the physiology. You need energy to fight or flight, meaning your guts shut down, all your bloodstream get directed at your brain and muscles. If you have big food in your belly, you get nauseous
Mhm.
because you have something sitting there, and all of a sudden your body completely divert. Some animal, they throw up and defecate in that situation. They don't want to deal with that in a stressful situation. Have you heard of people peeing on themselves when they're stressed?
Yeah, or scared.
Mhm.
Scared and stressed, I hope by now it makes sense to you, is absolutely the same.
No, but like
Mm.
if you get startled, you're not going to continuously be stressed.
But it's a stress nevertheless.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so, but now, is it that people get nauseous, they pee, and he shat his pants, or
Mhm.
he shit his pants?
Yeah, yeah.
So it come from somewhere, right?
Mhm.
Happens actually in nature quite often. If a snake has a big belly and then all of a sudden another animal come and attack it, it throws up
Mm.
the animal.
Yeah.
Multiple reasons, but more importantly, to be more agile.
Mhm.
Now, some foxes go and do exactly. They wait for a snake to eat something, and then they go and tease the snake so they can throw it up so they can eat it. Almost sound like Lily, your dog, to me.
Yeah.
Do that.
What about when people have like a gassy like response? Like a lot of times when people are stressed, they have indigestion. Is
Mhm.
that them trying to release like that?
What do you think, Dominic? Indigestion. What do you need for digestion? Lots of blood flow to your
Mhm.
GI tract.
Yeah,
Right?
my body's not going to deal with this, so it's just going to everything that was being contained down here is going to come out one way or the other, or it's going to stay here and hurt. Like that's you
Yeah.
get those cramps.
Okay, so fight and flight. You need your focus, you need blood going there, and you need blood bringing glucose,
Hmm.
energy there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the hormones in our body that release more glucose in our bloodstream because our body needs that for fight and flight?
Well, I know we use catecholamines a lot, but I don't know if that's
Catecholamines is one of them. The other one, Amanda mentioned that,
Cortisol.
steroids. So, what happens in a disease called the Addison crisis? What happens there?
so our little adrenal caps that produce a lot of those things that we have. If you have Addison's disease, then essentially it's all shrunk up, and you're not really getting all of that same amount of things you would otherwise get to control those hormones.
And especially when usually people with Addison crisis, they become symptomatic and die.
Mm.
No, with Addison disease. What's the medical situation when a person with Addison disease has a so-called Addison crisis and dies? And how do they die?
Usually they just become like somnolent and then just
So
I don't get it. So they
we
have
treat them.
too much, they don't have enough stress response, or
No.
they don't have enough stress response.
No. See, we just talked about in a stress situation, you need more energy, you need focus, energy, glucose. For all practical purpose, make energy, you need glucose.
Yeah.
You need a situation, your body need a reaction that releases a lot of glucose to your bloodstream and direct it to your brain and muscles. Okay? Now, this is organized, this is regulated in our body very, very closely. None of that is random. Like there are multiple areas in our body, our hypophysis, our adrenal gland, and many other areas in our body regulate how much glucose or energy you have in your bloodstream and where they should go. Now, if you have like a damage to your suprarenal gland, it's a small little gland above your kidneys.
it's like a little
hat. Yeah, like a little hat. Your kidney has a little hat. Let me take a picture of it for you.
I'd be saying a lot of things are cute today, I guess, but it's kind of cute. It's a cute little hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that here. You see it?
Yeah, see, like
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's
like little thing with a little hat.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hanging
So
out.
if that gland is a big part of our regulation for many hormones, including our stress hormones.
Mhm.
Imagine if that gland is not there or is weak or damaged or some whatever, or taken out. And then you're in a stressful situation. Your brain and everything in your body says, we need more glucose. And the way to get more glucose are certain hormones, but those hormones are not there. So your brain, like imagine you go on a date, Amanda, you're expecting a beautiful meal, and they put some meat cat food in front of you. You're expecting a good vegetarian food. What you get in the middle of the Wyoming, a little meat. Can you imagine how that would stress you out?
Oh yeah, it really does stress me out.
Okay, this is what happens. Your body expecting a lot of glucose and right hormone needed for that. None of that comes. You don't get that. You're prepared. You think you are going to get that. You don't get that. Your body thinks something catastrophic is going on, and it is. It shuts down. You die. The fact that you don't produce those hormones is the Addison disease. The fact that you don't get what you were expecting and your body shuts down is called Addison crisis.
Okay.
Trivia. Do you know a famous personality from US history who had Addison disease, and not clear, but possibly a factor that he died because of almost died multiple times, and at the end, probably it was a factor that he died because of his Addison disease. He definitely had Addison crisis before he died.
Why am I thinking Woodrow Wilson? Is he a president?
Woodrow Wilson was a president, but
No, I know. I know
I-
that. Was the person with Addison disease a president?
yes, it was a president.
I really can't remember. All I remember is that I know I've heard this before, because I remember the reason why we suspected is because he had like some strange salt cravings so constantly. But no.
He had lots of cravings, salt and otherwise.
Oh, Zachary Taylor.
No,
Oh,
nobody knows Zachary Taylor.
wasn't he the biggest? Wasn't he the largest U.S. president who got stuck in a bathtub?
Different kind of trivia.
I don't know that part, but this president is almost every American knows this president.
Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Nope.
Okay, then just tell us how many times do we have to
Kennedy, John F. Kennedy.
Wow. I'm
He
so-
almost died multiple times. He had a back surgery. He went to Addison crisis, and then he had some other disease, some infection after that. He went to Addison crisis. And at that time, we weren't as good as now. They thought multiple times he's going to die. He made it. When he got shot, probably he wouldn't have survived that anyways. But he practically, it was a big deal that they had to know, the doctors, that he has Addison disease, and his body wouldn't respond like a normal person, and so on and so forth. So, okay, with too much detail, too much to that sideways. But so, your body is responding to the flight or fight situation with energy, with directing the blood to where it needs to go, brain and the muscle. So, and to overcome the stressful situation. But a life of a gazelle is in the savannah is eating, everything is nice, stress, either dying or surviving, and then go back peaceful life. Do we agree on that? That it's not, the gazelle is not being chased 24/7 by the lion.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
it is, it's being eaten or is gone.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, 9 out of 10 times, gazelle is successful. Gazelle is more successful than the lion.
Yeah.
But stressful situation, literally this happens when stressful situation comes. As a matter of fact, I've watched a nice video. Do you know what the deer or gazelle do when they see a lion? They start jumping up and down, showing the lion how agile they are, saying, don't waste your time on me, go find somebody else.
Smart.
You see that there? But it has to be a balance there because they're already using their energy. But then when they are chased, they defecate, they urinate. If they have anything, they throw up, and then they run. Within the next 1 minute, it's clear if there are going to be food or not. Either way, stress goes away. For that minute, nothing else matters, and everything in your body is concentrated on making that minute successful for you. And that requires, like, the post-delivery gets stopped, the water gets shut down, the electricity goes out. All it matters is the emergency that's now created. Everybody goes now to the Twin Tower in New York. That you have to buy grocery. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
You have to get the trash, taken away. Nobody cares. Twin Tower is all what matters now.
Well, it's like your TikTok that you just made about depression, about how someone who's going through something really traumatic, they don't really have time to be depressed.
Yeah, that is why depression doesn't happen in a really stressful situation. Now, in your body, something similar happens. Everything shuts down for you to survive that moment. But make no mistake, if New York City is attacked day after day after day, the trash will accumulate and
Mhm.
kill you. Okay, now that is the transition. So stress is an absolutely necessary thing in your life. And nature is so beautiful. When the stress becomes too much, like when the deer or possum, and let's go with possum, what do they do when they are stressed?
Pretend to be dead.
Well, they don't pretend to be dead. They shut down everything,
They faint.
almost become dead. The heart slow down. They don't pretend. They're almost dead. And once you are over stressed, catecholamine, what we call catecholamine overdose,
Mhm.
you don't feel pain. When the lion is eating you, you will not feel pain. Because you have so much catecholamine in you, it shuts you down. As a matter of fact, the fear goes away. The fear literally goes away. Have you seen one of those movies like Nightmare on Elm Street and so on, that the person is scared, 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 and then that person, little girl, doesn't care anymore. Come on, Freddy Krueger, come at me. I want you. I'm going to get you, sucker, and so on. They are so oversaturated that they hit back hard, or this is one of the things, or they go numb. They don't feel anything anymore. So that people have all of a sudden the heart stop beating when they are startled, that's a real thing. As a matter of fact, I read a book only about that. Why is it physiologically that's important that when you are oversaturated, when there is no way out, all your senses go numb, then nature doesn't want you really to suffer. There's no need. Pain is not because the Lord or nature want to torture you. Pain is telling you something is hurting, get away from it, to protect you. But if there is no way to get away from pain, once it's saturated, and pain is the thing that gets saturated last, because it is important, but all our senses get saturated. Like you go to a room, your roommate farted a lot, first you smell it, after a while you don't smell it anymore.
Mhm.
Correct?
Yeah.
You start eating something, after a while you get used to it. You push on your arm. Do you have a watch? Do you have a watch right now, Dominic?
Mhm.
I have a ring on my pinky.
Do you feel it? Now you feel it that I ask for it.
Yeah.
But you don't feel it.
No, I don't feel it unless I'm touching it.
Okay, so all our senses, they adjust, adapt. Pain adjust and adapt last because it's protective, but even pain adjust and adapt. And then you go numb. And then you sit there, you see those videos, they always show up on my TikTok, not on Amanda's, that the lion is eating the gazelle while the gazelle is still alive.
Mhm.
But I can guarantee you, Amanda, that gazelle is done feeling anything. It is a physiologic response. It's just sitting there, and you look at the gazelle sitting there just peacefully while it's being eaten, and the guts are out.
Anyway, we can continue on the conversation. Something.
So there is no need in nature for chronic stress.
Hmm.
Okay, chronic stress is something that only we human have to deal with.
And it's kind of something that we did to ourselves in a way.
Now we did
We
to
do it to
ourselves
each
and we
other.
did to each other.
And some people do it to themselves. Some people have an addiction to stress.
Well, let's put it this way. We came a long way, and I'm going to give it 10 more minutes. We have to come to a conclusion. Stress in all categories of life, and it's necessary. It's survival. It's important, and it practically shut all the unnecessary services in your body and concentrate on what makes you survive. But if it continues, practically your body is still shut down.
Mhm.
What's the reason that like some people with an anxiety disorder, I know it's like a chemical imbalance, but sometimes you can be sitting on the couch, no stressors are happening. but you're stressed. Like you're sitting there just actually chilling and you want to relax, but like everything's kind of
Amanda, you know the answer to that because
no, but why has it evolved to that? Like I know it's a chemical imbalance in that.
no, it is evolved in human like that. I'm sure animals don't sit in their nest, all of a sudden get stressed. What if the snake come and eat me?
Yeah.
Human thing, right? It's not only human, it's as well some higher mammal do that. You remember we talked about making a mental picture from outside inside of your brain?
Yeah.
Once you have done that, that thing exists. That thing can stress you out. Like you were at no danger when you were almost driving over that squirrel. You were at no danger.
I was the danger.
You were the danger. And yet you got stressed because you made a frame of mind, you created a model. In that model, you were the squirrel, and God knows who was that driver. And that mental model, once it's in your brain, is as real as anything else. As a matter of fact, how do you know the lion is out there? You don't really know. It might be just a shadow or something. But in your mental model is a lion. And even if the lion is there and is going to eat you, the model inside of your brain is all what matters. Because let's imagine, for whatever reason, you don't have eyesight, you don't see the lion. Are you going to be stressed if the lion is next to you, but you don't see the lion? If you have no, you're not stressed.
Unless you have hearing.
Well, but then you're still using other senses to make a mental model. It's about the all stress. Now, some people say, oh, that pain is in your head. At the end of the day, all pain is in your head.
Yeah.
So is all the stress. There is no external stressor. That is why there is a beautiful, sad, tragic, horrible, but a beautiful picture of a Buddhist monk putting himself on fire for protest against the Vietnam War. He's sitting absolutely peaceful while he's being burned because he has such a control of his mental faculty that the reality that he's being burned doesn't create the internal model in his brain that I'm being burned, I'm going to die, this is over, and this must be very stressful. So you see, it goes both ways. You're sitting on a couch, you create a mental model, and then that already stresses you out. You start palpitating, your brain and your kidneys and so on. All of a sudden, your body still thinks you have to fight or flight. You just had it after a meal, you're sitting on your couch, there's nothing else there. All of a sudden, all the blood get diverted from your guts, and then you have this digestion, and then you start being bloated, and so on and so forth. This is one end of it, that just the mental picture model create the stress. The other is that there is a reality, you're being burned, but you exclude that from your internal model, and then you just sit there peacefully and then just accept it. Now, tell me, are there people out there that are able to control the inner response to stress? And what method do they use? Amanda, you should know that the best.
I think he said Dom.
I thought you
No,
said
Amanda, you.
Oh, yeah, like yoga instructors are pretty good at handling that. People that are trained in like
Meditation.
meditation, psychology. I feel like a lot of times I feel like I can be pretty good at managing my stress in the sense that I can get over it very quickly.
Why am I laughing?
Why are you laughing?
It's not funny. That's an internal joke, Dominic. You
I
don't
don't
have.
think it's internal. I think it's only to you because I don't
The
know
most
what's so
internal.
funny. I think yeah, it's very internal.
No, when Amanda gets stressed, she the sweet the creature become gremlin, and when gremlin comes out, and it's obvious to some people that there is really no reason to be stressed out right now, but that reason defies Amanda's gremlininess, and when people start smarting, she gets why are you laughing? It's not funny.
But it doesn't last me very.
No, she's
That
saying,
is true. That is true. But
wow,
that
look at that. That self-recognition is, I think, that is a huge capacity. The self-reflection. That's a huge, I mean, wow, Amanda, I'm impressed.
thanks. I am very self-aware, I think.
Yeah.
Dumb.
I think so. There was actually one thing because for the mental models, while we were talking about those, how the Buddhist monk has light themselves on fire, but their mental model is one of peace, and then therefore there's
Tranquility, yeah.
yeah. It kind of interested me because I was thinking when it comes to dreaming and nightmares, I know this is also like a separate topic, but nobody really, well, I guess some people do, but it's very rare that you wake up from a dream in the middle of the night. Those kind of just carry on forever. Eventually you go to oblivion, you
Yeah.
just wake up in the morning. A nightmare, you will reach a point in it where you are finally pumping chemicals through your system and aware and alert, and you will wake up.
That's
Because that's
interesting.
a mental model that you develop. And that was kind of like an analogy I was thinking for the anxiety. The person who has the nightmare will wake up and be stressed by the thing their mind has created.
That's good. I like that. It's really good.
Now, to be complete, I have to, Amanda, apologize. I have to show you this picture.
She's,
I don't know what it is, but
oh, it's the monk burning.
oh, I'm okay with that's by choice.
Okay.
But see, he's a definition of peace.
Yep.
He's not suffering. He's at peace. But make no mistake, he died, right?
Yes.
You do this once. You don't defy the nature twice like this.
Yeah.
So when people tell me, relax and everything will go well, everything be done and so on. And, there's a saying in the OR, we say all bleeding eventually stops.
Yeah.
So this is that kind of, be relaxed. So we need balance. Okay? Obviously, sitting on the couch and your mental picture getting the best of you is extreme. But make no mistake, just being at peace, being burned alive is extreme. Because the life would not go on. People say, oh, you want to eat me? Come, eat me. Eat me. I'm delicious. I'm delicious gazelle. So where is the healthy balance? And the whole medicine is now, it goes way beyond. I think we should do another podcast about how to deal with stress. This, you remember now, I changed the title of this, stress. So what is stress? Now, I hope, Amanda, even you without much of medical education, and Dominic, you with quite significant medical education, you have a good understanding what stress is, what it is causing us, why is it necessary, and why is 99.999% of the time good thing, but then sometimes a bad thing. After we have talked about that, Amanda, if you would describe to your friends what is stress, what would you say now?
Oh, well, I thought about what I would say after Dominic gave his example. And I would say that stress is when you have a deadline coming up that you're not prepared for. And even at this point, you can't really prepare for it. So you have a feeling of like uncomfortability and dread.
Okay. Well, that actually I would go a little further to say, to concentrate all your efforts that you do make the deadline. Is that, you see, stress is not to give you dread because you will never make the deadline. Sometimes it is. That is the fight situation. But most of the time is so-called flight, meaning that it prepares you to avoid the damage altogether by being prepared for that situation. So, and it is physiologic. By itself, it's a good thing. By itself, it's a short thing. Okay? And but like anything good, can turn bad. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, most of the time, the public hear the word stress, they had that very small fraction of the response situation that in human life has been turned into a bad thing.
Mm.
That is where the minority of the cases become the definition of what people understand. Because you cannot tell me that anybody says stress, oh, it's a good thing. But you understand now, without stress, you wouldn't live.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That is another thing, that when there is a little bit of a stress, you memorize things better. You started with that, Dominic, you remember?
Mhm.
Now, can you explain now, after we have gone through 1 hour of this, why is it that a little stress make you enable to learn better, but too much stress is actually exactly the opposite? Can you explain that?
Yeah. So, the normal amount of stress is kind of what we talked about. The gazelle knows I'm running. I need to run. I get this running in. But then when we have too much stress, it's the gazelle dying. Like that's it. When you reach that point, in some things it would be kind of acceptance. It says in, let's say you have that assignment, that deadline or whatnot. Too stressed, you just don't do it. You just
Mhm.
don't even do the thing you're supposed to do. You just, all right.
Turn off.
Well, there it is.
Yeah.
We're done.
There is
kind
it.
of
You're
saving
done.
that pain by saying, okay, let's just not do it. Like, let's not do it. We can't make it. Don't try.
But that's a good ending.
Mhm.
That's it. We are done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wrap it up. Everybody go home. That's it. That's all we got.
Okay. And this should be the end of our podcast about stress.
Mhm.
Amanda and Dominic, please put on that, then we should talk about the psychological aspect of the stress, and as well talk about the how to deal with stress. These are two different things.
Yeah.
No way we could fit them all in one. You had, Amanda, another subject you wanted to talk about, but I chose the stress for a reason, because I know that lots of people are under stress within us, outside of us, in job, privately, and so on. And I thought that that would be a good message for lots of people. The stress is what makes you survive and do better.
Yeah.
So if nature throws you a lemon, make lemonade, and use your stress to your advantage, because the same way that the monk could completely ignore it, you are in charge. What at the end of the day causing your stress is the mental picture. You cannot ignore it. You cannot be not stressed, but you can take it and use it, become more alert, become more focused. You can make it to the success story of your life if you can manage it, and that makes exactly the difference between successful people and not successful people. That they turn, one of the hallmark of stress of the very successful people is they perform better under stress and in a very, very difficult situation. Like they don't remember your name or anything and so on, and you think, who's this moron? But you put them in a situation that 10 other people would break, they go and save all 10 other people, and they come out and then go to their dormant state and so on. That is a hallmark of alpha people, that under the stress, they perform so much better. Okay? So
Totally.
try to be alpha.
I also want to do like a scientific version of stress, like the way that stress impacts your body, how stress can make your hair turn silver, give you wrinkles, but also women
Stress response. That's what.
Yeah, that's what I had it set as. And then also like how women, if they're stressed out, can get their period, or it can make you not get your period, and that's from hormones. So yeah, I think that that'd be a good one too.
You should do all of that, but you know already the answer to all of it. Your skin is not what's going to make you save your life. So less supply and energy for your blood. If you're pregnant, you're in a stressful situation, the child will be dead no matter if you are dead. So carrying a pregnancy is not your primary reaction in a stressful situation.
Mhm.
Mm.
Your the color and beauty of your hair that is more important for mating process in a stressful situation is not your really primary thing, and so on. So it can make you appear older. It can age you, and it can make you have your period.
It can even make your body odor different. Like if you're stressed out, your sweat actually smells different than your non-stressed sweat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do a
change your-
science topic.
change your microbiome and so on. It's such a deep area. But yeah, as you just said, we should do follow-up podcast on this. I hope that everybody learned something from this. And it seems like I read some book that in one way or another has some relationship to stress every 6 months, if I want it or not. Like, I just read a book about John F. Kennedy's life. A huge part of that book, they describe his Addison crisis, as immune response, and so on and so forth. If you want it or not, read a lot of book. You will read a lot of book about stress. So I think I can bring some good knowledge to the table regarding
It's almost like stress is just common amongst all of us humans.
No.
that.
What? No.
We're all just stressed.
Except Dominic. Dominic never gets stressed.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it. So it's good. I'm so excited to try it out and see what happens.
Why he looks so young. He's just cool as a cucumber.
I was born yesterday.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
Well, thank you guys for watching. This is Essence of Medicine. Today we talked about stress. I'm Amanda Armagast.
Dominic Moore.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Be safe.